just tilt your camera the other way because you're like this way, bro.
Oh,
You're
sorry.
sideways, bro.
Is,
Yeah, if you turn your iPad that way.
yeah.
Yeah, bro. Cheers, eh? Look, it's not a long time no see, bro.
Yeah. Good to see you. It's a bit late here for that though. It's my bedtime.
I was going to say I'm ready for bed as well, but mate, look. First of all, I don't want to get too serious, but welcome to Warner's Corner. I
Yeah.
appreciate you coming. I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
And the reason behind Warner's Corner is because they named it Warner's Corner, so I've just gone with it.
Yeah.
But look, let's get to some serious stuff, mate. We have to keep making sure that people are staying safe. Obviously, both our countries are in total lockdown, and credit to your Prime Minister who went early and has done the right thing and flattened the curve. I think it's working out very well here, but we've got to keep making sure that people are asking why we're not playing IPL, why can't it happen? But obviously with the lockdown laws in India as well, it's not just India, in Australia and New Zealand, it's everywhere in the world. So what's been happening over there, mate? What have you been up to? I've seen you been giving some slips catches to that little dog of yours.
Yeah. Well, I was going to try and turn the camera mount, but
Do you know how to do that?
hold on, I'll see. Look, so she's
Oh, well asleep.
yeah, she's been practicing all day, so
One eyed open.
I'll let her sleep. No,
It was funny. That was
yeah.
funny. I liked it. I really liked it.
Yeah, that was early on actually in lockdown. But like you say, Paul, it's been just an incredible time in our lives, really, isn't it? From a few weeks ago playing a cricket against each other to sort of the whole world being in lockdown, and everybody's in such a different situation with large countries, smaller countries, and the spread's sort of varied so much. So we've been very fortunate here in New Zealand, and like you say, our Prime Minister's been very proactive with their approach, but I know for a fact that all countries will be trying their best to eliminate this thing as quickly as possible, and then hopefully sport, hopefully IPL are not too far away, but there's definitely a goal first up, and that's to stop this thing.
That's what I was talking to Boovy last night about. He joined me on this, and I was asking if his dog did the same thing, and he said he's having troubles with obeying his wife's instructions to clean the floors, let alone get out there and try and be busy with his dog.
Yeah. There's always slightly different challenges, even in lockdown, isn't there?
Well, they are the challenges, aren't they, that we face? We have to actually do some stuff around the house for once.
What have you been doing around the house? I just see you've been taking videos.
Well, mate,
it's improved a lot, I think.
Well, it just showed like it took you 20 minutes to join a live Instagram. Now, for us to get you to join TikTok might take an eternity.
No, I'm not on that, but yeah, it's my first live. Was it live Instagram?
Instagram, yeah. Did you not see my TikTok today?
No,
it's gone viral. It's gone viral. I can't believe it.
Is it?
Actually, I'll try and get it up on my iPad here. I'll just show you. Here we go. I'll show you right here.
Oh.
You can see Isla's impressed.
Yeah. She's the only one. Yeah.
But we're done. Mate, this is what isolation has done to us here in Australia. We've joined TikTok. Yeah. I'm listening to my 5-year-old instead of my wife, and things are going really well here, mate. I can't complain. But look, let's get into some serious chat. I know people last night were asking a lot of questions to Boovy and myself, and we had Johnny on the other day, and Johnny was very good. But the insight between like Australia and New Zealand, but we'll get onto that in about a few minutes time. But I've got a whole lot of questions here, mate, that surround basically your early life in cricket, and a lot of people were wondering like who was your idol growing up, and you belong to a very sporting family. But what was the one thing that got you hooked onto cricket?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I think probably a little bit like yourself and so many other keen kids that play sports. I played as many sports as I could really. So basketball and rugby, which is obviously a massive sport here in New Zealand, and a little bit of soccer and a few other bits in between. But I was always just very enthusiastic about getting involved, especially team sports. And my dad played a lot of cricket, coming from a cricket sort of passion family, and so when the time came, as I got a little bit older through college, then you kind of had to make some of those decisions and specialise a little bit. So kind of came down to basketball and always a real passion, but sport in general was definitely a real passion and still is.
So you didn't think about joining the All Blacks maybe, or were you not big enough? What was that? Did you play that at school? You didn't want to do the haka?
Natural selection kind of. Basketball probably wasn't a viable option either, basketball or rugby. I really enjoyed my rugby actually, but probably more the age group sort of weight limit, categories were where I was most effective, and then the guys got a bit big and a bit strong. But cricket, was something that I was really passionate about, and real hunger to try and improve, and still am hungry to improve, and fortunate to be playing against you and some other old greats of the game. So it's been an interesting journey.
Well, you've made the right choice, mate. You're a pretty handy cricket player. What about the haka? Could you do that in cricket? Could you do that to start? Is there a tradition that it's just football, or I know obviously the tradition's behind it, but in sport, is it just for rugby?
Well, no, not necessarily. I mean, at the Olympics, Commonwealth Games, places like that, the hakas perform. But also when we played sport at school, a lot of schools had their own hakas. So, we would go to basketball tournaments and perform our school haka. Rugby, it'd be the haka again. But it hasn't seemed to happen in cricket too much, and I wonder whether it might be better suited to sports that ride on a little bit more adrenaline, because you tend to get a bit fired up and passionate, and then if you lose the toss and stand in the field for 2 days, it might not have the same effect. So, but it's sorry?
No, I'll be happy for it when Ross Taylor's gone. He's scary in himself, especially when he celebrates his hundreds.
You'll get taught your school haka or the haka, and it's something that has to be performed passionately, otherwise it's not done at all. So there are, there's a lot of sort of heart and passion and meaning behind performing the haka. So when it's done, it's done with 100% effort. So that's probably why, maybe it's not suited to Test cricket, but maybe some of the other formats.
Just a true gentleman, mate. True gentleman. What did you ever imagine, like, becoming captain of New Zealand? Obviously, you've had some great leaders before you, but was it ever in your mind growing up to aspire to be a leader?
I mean, you never assume or expect to have the opportunity to captain your country, but growing up playing age groups, I was fortunate to captain some of those teams. In terms of the aspiration for leadership, I find that an interesting question, I suppose, because it's quite a selfless role. Obviously, as best you can, just giving to the team and trying to help the team track in the right direction, as you know. So, I mean, it's something that I think happened reasonably organically, and not something that I was, I suppose, working towards, rather than just trying to progress in the role that I have in the team, and like you mentioned, some fantastic captains to learn from, and then when the time came and I got the opportunity, it was something that I was very privileged and humbled to receive.
Yeah, well said. I think a lot of people out there are saying to Boovie and Johnny the other night that whatever it is in cricket, just keep following what you want to set out to be, whether it's a batsman, a bowler, or a wicketkeeper, or whatever it is, etc. And then all that sort of the captaincy tag, the vice captaincy tag will come along per se, because there's always a lot of questions that get asked, like who dictates who's a captain, who's identified as a captain. But from a young age, I think some people are probably identified as a potential leader. Because everyone was talking, the great debate is, why is your best cricketer always the captain? But it's probably not necessarily that, is it?
No. I mean, I don't think your best cricketer necessarily makes your best leader. But I suppose the captaincy role, there's a number of specific roles within that. And, I suppose yeah, I mean, a part of that is trying to make the 11, and wanting to make sure you are in the 11. So then, obviously, you can try and lead in a way that is comfortable and authentic to yourself. So yeah, there's a number of parts to it, but like you say, it's a difficult thing. Yeah, I don't believe it should just go to perhaps a ranked player, but definitely look at the role that captaincy is, and who fits the bill is the right person.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know if at the bottom of your screen you can see all these questions, but there's always these a million questions that scroll up and down. But a guy was saying, "How's your wool over there for carpet?" Some guy called DT Carpets. I'm like, just stick to polyester. I have no idea what he's talking about, that bloke. Uh, but mate, all these stupid random questions. Some bloke asking if you like chicken nuggets. Um, you've been a part of 3 World Cups, mate, and 3 2020 World Cups, and I think 2 Champions trophies. What does it mean for you to represent New Zealand for so long, and now that you're captain of the side?
Um, yeah, it's a tough one. You don't tend to have too many opportunities, perhaps like if you could rewind the clock and ask yourself as a young sort of budding sportsman, and whether you'd have the opportunity to play for your country, and you'd certainly never assume, and you're never to know until perhaps getting that phone call, and then much like yourself, the opportunity to play your first test match or your first international is just such an incredible thrill, to then entertain the idea of playing for 9 or 10 years or so, or whatever it is, or even a second game is kind of not really where your head's at. So it's an interesting thing to consider when you recall your first game, and how excited and how new and fresh it was, and how fortunate you felt to just be involved, to be playing for a period of time. So I feel very lucky and fortunate to do what I love, and sort of see where the game's gone. Really, it's changed so much in our time playing, and the sort of the 9 or 10 years in the development of 2020 cricket and the franchise cricket and the various new rules that keep floating about every year. It's a great time to be involved in the game.
Yeah, and I tend to agree with you there. And there's another question here that says, what keeps us motivated to, we play for X amount of different teams plus our country. What makes us always want to compete, or how can you get out there and be 100% committed every single game that you play, regardless for your country or county or state? It was a tough question, even last night with Boovy about Ranji Trophy. You're on the road 300 days of the year, and then you go back to play club cricket, state cricket. I personally, I just think you're motivated by the love of the game. That's what I tend to feel.
Yeah, and I think sometimes you go through periods of time where that can be more challenging than others, and the love's always there. But sometimes I think that it's about uncovering it when it gets sometimes confused or muddled up by some other stuff that the game can bring. So yeah, I mean, I'd agree with you. It's loving the game and all the parts that come with it. I love the fact that it's a team sport, and so for me, I really enjoy being a part of a team and trying to do your bit for the side to try and move the team forward as best you can. So whether that's playing in your domestic team or your club side, or the international team or franchise sides around the world, I suppose there's always that opportunity there to do and appreciate what you love to the best of your ability, but also just enjoy the environment that you're in and trying to contribute.
And it's funny that you say that as well, because do you know how many super overs that you've been a part of?
Way too many. Not many
Like
sixes.
how do you keep so calm? Like I understand, like it pained me to see what happened in the World Cup, from a point of view, from a cricket lover's point of view, to have the World Cup and how it did. But to be in your shoes, I saw your press conference, I saw the way that you handled yourself, was absolutely amazing. But like how 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 were you so calm? Like I have zero idea, and I know you very well, and I'm telling you now, it was very good of you to act the way that you did, because you always are like that. But I thought you might have just been tipped over the edge a little bit.
Oh, look, that was a very, I mean, it was an emotional time, but it was kind of hard to be emotional right at that point in time. You were still very much in what's the next task? How do we achieve what we need to do in this next bit? Despite a number of things outside of your control and all these bits and pieces that can happen in any cricket game. But I guess you add that into the context of a World Cup final, and it made it something pretty special for people to watch and people to be a part of, whether it went our way or not. But I think after the game, it was quite difficult to make sense of. But I think the thing we could reflect on and be proud of was the cricket that we played. And I think, well, obviously you saw, and we all saw throughout the World Cup, how much the surfaces varied and what a good score was. And we all knew that on that Lord's ground on that day and all the other games, that 230, 240 score was going to be very competitive. And so we knew what we were trying to do, and we managed to get a competitive total, but without it being obviously incredibly special, but runs on the board in a World Cup final perhaps, and then to come out and take the wickets on a surface that was offering was great, and try and build that pressure. And so we all sort of saw how the match unfolded. But after the game, I sort of didn't feel like you had a right to complain too much when you always set out to provide a strong performance. And we were able to do that and be proud of that. And the fact that the result was perhaps decided by a number of things outside of your control, I suppose tested that, but still meant that that's how we had to deal with it.
Well, it's credit to you and the guys, mate, for the way that you guys handled yourselves, because that was, I know if that was me, who knows? But but
I would enjoy watching that.
If there was one rule in white ball cricket, then what would you change?
Jeepers.
Do you reckon you could bring back the two fielders inside was it the 15-yard? Remember the mini circles they used to have?
Yeah, not a field batting.
15 over rule again. 10 overs isn't enough.
A short catching midwick. No, I don't know. I'd have to think a bit about it. I suppose maybe some of the viewers have a few opinions. Anybody got anything interesting down
there? Yeah, anyone there that would like to change a rule in white ball cricket, feel free to put it there, and I'll shout it out later. But mate, on to obviously Sunrisers topics. Obviously we'd be over there right now, and if people haven't been tuning into my Instagram, generally what me and Kane would be doing right now is trying to throw some darts at a dartboard, and Kane's got me well and truly covered with his 180s. But what do you miss about the IPL? Is it the mateship? Is it the competition out in the field? Everything that comes with it, the buzz, the fans. Like what do you miss the most? I know you probably have a couple of answers, but what really sticks with you?
Look, I mean, without a doubt, it's the biggest domestic tournament in the world. So, to be a part of that with the buzz and the hype, and playing in India, with such a large country with such a huge passion for the sport that we love, is something that I remember the day that I was fortunate to go over to the IPL for the first time, and it was to experience it because you'd watched it so often on TV, and it's such an amazing spectacle. But then there's so much more to it that you don't see on TV, which is playing in a predominantly Indian side, but along with obviously so many other international players that you've played against for such a long period of time, and you get to know and build friendships. And just there are a number of parts to it that make it incredibly attractive, and no doubt I guess a number of people that are tuned in tonight we'll be missing the IPL just like the players and us, but hopefully there'll be something planned at some point in time, and it would be certainly great to be a part of.
There's a question that just popped up there. Have you read the ICC is considering changing the legalization of ball tampering to prevent use of saliva post coronavirus? We probably won't go into. We probably won't go into that. Next question.
Yeah.
Look, how special was it to get that orange cap in 2018? Obviously, we went very close. Unfortunately, obviously, I wasn't there, and I was watching I was actually over in Singapore having a family vacay. But tell us, obviously, the orange cap is obviously special, leading run scorer, but you had an amazing tournament. People always talk about, and this is no disrespect to you, but the dashes and everything, but the way that you played and the way that you went about it and sort of held the whole team together was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we were on the back foot without you, because you're usually the orange cap winner, which, we're lucky to have every season. So, as a team, obviously had to come together and try and, in some ways, we would never be able to sort of fill that hole, but perhaps come up with a way around it to compete as best we can. And it was a really fascinating year because of that. Obviously, in 2016, it was an incredible year to win the trophy. But, in 2018, to play consistently well in the style of cricket that really benefited us, which was staying in the game. And as you know, it's such a strong bowling attack, and with a number of threats within the attack, meant that we had a number of incredibly close games, and ended up on the right side of those results. And I think we won nine out of the 14 round games. So it was a really enjoyable time to watch and see the team grow and develop in a way with obviously a number of challenges that were put to us, like obviously losing our captain and the runs that you bring and the experience and leadership. So it's, which is, the game that we play, and you go to the IPL and often in the franchise domain, it's thinking on your feet and certainly working with management as best you can and being nice and clear and trying to put your best foot forward. And it was a pretty fun year to be a part of with a lot of success as well.
And I think on the back of that, I think we have to, we can't sort of not mention the fact that we do bat on a very, very good surface in Hyderabad, and credit to the curators because they always produce a very nice wicket there. And I think around the world, India produce some of the best, white ball wickets that there is, and they're always outstanding to play on. They were talking about how we both captain and our styles of captaincy within the IPL. And I'll have to be honest here, is I get a lot of my ideas from Kane. So all the people that were asking about being captain, if you ever see Kane, when he wasn't playing, always behind me, he was always giving me the ideas and tips. So I'll leave that question for Kane about how he's so calm and how he thinks about his processes, especially in 2020 cricket.
No, I mean, that's something I appreciate when the, shoes on the other foot is sometimes when you're in it, and a number of those seasons I was filling your drink bottles and Powerades. So I had a spare time. I was hovering around the boundary rope and catching up for a chat. But, even when you aren't playing in the 11, there's still an opportunity to give as much as you can, and certainly if there are any ideas that you might have, you want to be able to put those forward, and much like you, I like to have the approach that if people do have those ideas, then bring them forward if they're in the best interest of the team. So, without a doubt, captaincy is never a sort of a solo job. It's for me anyway, it's very much about being inclusive of so many other leaders in the group, whether they're on the field or off the field, and trying to take those opportunities to help each other out. I think it's incredibly valuable.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. There's been a few talks of, you wouldn't have seen Twitter today, but the Times now, I think it was one of the media people picked up on me talking about our death bowling, and apparently I said we've got the best death bowlers in the IPL, which was incorrect. We were talking about 2016 when we won, and I said, and I elaborated on the fact that year our best discipline was defending. We weren't great at chasing at that stage. But let's talk about our death bowlers anyway. Like I know in 2018 we came so close, but we won so many close games. And that was thankful to a lot of our death bowling. We do have one of the best death bowling units in the IPL, I would have to say.
Yeah, I mean, our bowling attack's exceptional. The season that you mentioned where we won it, obviously the runs were scored and a lot of them by yourself, but like you say, the defence from the bowlers at critical times, closing out those important overs was so valuable. And when you're winning games by 2 or 3 runs, sometimes it's hitting that extra Yorker that's the difference. And those 2 seasons in particular, we were able to do that, whether that's with the change up at the right time on a surface that was holding, or on the good wicket that we have at Hyderabad, and it was executing some of those fundamentals that aren't always easy, but guys doing it really well under pressure. And I think we had a number of standout bowlers in that season. Obviously, there's so many world-class bowlers in the comp. Every team's got plenty, but we're fortunate to have the crop that we have, for sure. And
this is a very tough question, and I asked this to Boovy and Johnny as well. Who do you think, and you can't say yourself and you can't say a fellow New Zealander, who do you feel is the best batter in the world today? And that's across red and white ball. So you can't just say one, because obviously there's 2 different contrasts. You can split up into 3 formats as well if you want.
3, 4. Best batter in the world.
I put this question to Boovy of, who would you want to bat for your life?
Oh, yeah.
And he said he would rather him bat for his own life because he wouldn't want to put in someone else's hand. So he was political. But I was saying I put 2 out there, obviously Kohli in white ball and Smithy in red ball.
Yeah, I was.
And then different conditions obviously suit as well.
Yeah. I mean, for me, the natural choices that come to mind. If someone was going to bat for my life, I'd probably like to get to know them first before sending that job. I mean, like those 2 have been incredible for a long period of time in all formats. But very hard to pinpoint one. Obviously, someone like AB, he's playing the franchise cricket at the moment, but in terms of a gifted player and a top guy as well, he's one of the most special players, I think, of our time, or my time, that I've seen. But so many quality players, and so many different players as well. Steve with perhaps his setup and some of his mannerisms, and then Kohli, in all formats, and his real hunger to dominate, and his ability to do so, and lead the way. It's been great to watch and play against, and and sort of learn from as well, because some of these guys continue to set the bar, and you're in that category too.
Thanks, mate. Very kind, and likewise yourself. I think I'd have probably you, Smithy, and Virat to bat for my life. That's for sure. Who in your eyes, and I'll give you my answer first up because I don't want you taking it. Who do you feel in your lifetime that you've seen on TV or played against is the best cricket player to play? I said Jacques Kallis. The reason being is because obviously bat bowl, he's got the best record of probably any batsman in the world, and he's taken over 300 Test match wickets, ODI wickets, and X amount of catches. Like, that's an incredible feat.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty hard to get past that, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, sheesh, I mean,
You can even go down to bowlers and batters categories as well if you want, mate.
Yeah, bowlers and batters. I think, Sangakkara would be in that mix.
Yep.
Sachin
Definitely.
Ricky Ponting. I think, Rahul Dravid. Oh, I mean, goodness me, we could talk about this for a long time, eh?
Well, we could talk cricket all night. It's ridiculous. We could talk cricket all night, but it's almost midnight your time.
Yeah. About half an hour to get on here, so
we're just usually having a chocolate brownie with vanilla ice cream, mate.
Oh, I know. Things I'm missing as well, actually. From IPL. Well, look, very tough to say one, but so many greats of the game, and just great to play against and with some, and just see them go about their business so differently. I think if I look at guys that make it look quite easy, and have that ability to just walk out there,
so much time,
and bat right-handed in the nets, and go out and bat left-handed in the middle. Yourself and the likes of AB and these guys that can make it look sometimes a bit too easy. But hard to name one. But Jacques Kallis was 3 players really, wasn't he? So you didn't name one.
100%.
Yeah,
100%. So if we're down to the IPL final or the World Cup T20 final, who would you like least to face the last over off if you need to score X amount of runs?
Well, in a super over.
In a super over.
I don't have.
Who do you not want to face?
We should have learned a lot in super overs. Who would I least? Well, I mean, it would depend on the surface. I think if you look at
you're at the MCG again.
MCG again. Well,
big boundaries.
What? Big boundaries? Yeah. So, assuming there'll be a fast bowler. So I mean, you throw Stark and Bumrah and Bhuvi and all these guys that can bowl the perfect Yorker.
Well, I tried to get I got some cheat sheets out of Bhuvi last night. I said to Bhuvi, if you're bowling to me in the last over of a World Cup final, what would you bowl? So he gave me 3 options, which is pretty handy.
What did he?
At the MCG. Knuckleball into the wicket.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wide Yorker.
Yeah.
And maybe a bouncer because he thought I wouldn't be thinking it.
Nice. Yeah, I all those guys would probably do something like that, wouldn't they? Especially at the MCG.
Yeah, well, that's what I said. The big boundary. So you're going to be banging it into the wicket. If you need 4 off the last ball, you're given to bowl it into the wicket.
Might run 4 though. That's the other thing.
But
I mean, those you're backing the top death bowlers, aren't you, to execute and perform their skills. So I mean, those guys are probably the top 3. Rabada as well, and Pat Cummins, and
I 100% agree there. Definitely, we've got a few quizzes here, and I've got the answers because I have zero idea about these. But
Oh
We've
no.
made we've made the playoffs in the last 7 years a lot of times. Now, can you name how many out of the seven?
5?
Correct. Very well done. You've studied these questions, haven't you? Now, our flavour of topic of conversation every night, last two sort of Instagrams have been Khalil.
Yeah.
Now, on a serious question, how many wickets did he take last year? I'll give you the three likely answers because it's going to be challenging. 15, 17, or 19. And I think he took four. He might have taken five in one game, I think.
Yeah.
And he
17.
did these ones.
Yeah, I know. I might have remember. Maybe 17.
Yeah, unfortunately, you're wrong this time. He took 19.
Ah.
I think he was one of the leading wicket takers for a while there.
Yeah. Good season, yeah.
How many runs did myself and Johnny partnership accumulate? Well, 781, 785, or 791.
Oh dear. I know you guys put on 100 every time you went out to bat. What were
Yeah,
the other?
we're pretty red hot.
Yeah. I
Was being humble there.
Yeah, that was an attempt at that. 751, 781, and what?
781, 785, 791,
785.
791.
Oh,
Oh, well, see, I wouldn't even know any of these.
it was
Now
781.
you should probably know this. Your IPL debut was in 2015 against
Yeah.
which team?
Oh, Chino.
Very, very well. Now, international wickets. How many have you taken?
Oh,
You should know this,
altogether.
surely. I think I'm okay. 72, 74, 76. I'm assuming it could be all of them. I was
Yeah, that
70
would be
what?
all of them for this season.
Yeah.
70s, 76. That might be the last of them too.
Come on, mate. 72. Don't give yourself some extras.
Sorry, yeah. I was hoping for it.
You
70.
Oh, here we go. This is going to be challenging. You scored a century on your Test debut. Who took the catch to get you out? Do you remember who you played?
Pardon me?
Do you remember who you played against first?
Oh,
He could potentially be part of our lineup.
really? Huh?
In part of Sunrise's family.
Potentially.
Well, he is. I'm not supposed to give you the answers.
Oh, Laxman.
He caught you. I wonder if he's tuning in. He's probably busy at the moment.
Maybe.
Who was your first Test wicket?
Suresh Raina. Wasn't a very good ball either.
Was it a half tracker caught on the fence?
No, it was very close to a half tracker, but he whacked it to like cover, slow wicket.
How
Oh,
many 50s did you
no.
hit in the IPL 2018? Sorry, I cut you off there, but yeah.
He had too many options, and then yeah.